Hey family, hope everyone's having a good day. I'm out on another hike today. I'm here with my dog, Peter, and Oki. Max, I don't know where Max went. He disappeared. He's on around, but I found me another waterfall. Check it out. They lended me this cell phone stick or whatever they're called. But gorgeous waterfall. So just out getting some exercise, having fun with the dogs again. I've got you can see my earbuds on because with that waterfall it might be kind of hard to hear me. Although now you may not be able to hear the waterfall, which I love the sound of rushing water. But anyhow, I've been trying to share stuff. Like, I just feel like ever since 9/11 for me, and this isn't a video about 9/11, but I just bring it up because everyone knows that the world changed, especially the United States changed after 9/11. So obviously 9/11 was a crucial event, but I'm not going to get into that today because as important as it is, that was 25 years ago. Now we're in where we are today. And we know we've got the tariffs, we've got war, we're bombing Yemen. Just last night, the U.S. killed, the last number I saw was 45 Yemenis. They say Houthis, but they're just the Yemeni people. We're bombing the hell out of Yemen right now. Like I say, at least 45 dead, and every time the number goes up, but the number of wounded was already over 100. There's a massive, what they're doing is they're bombing the port. They're bombing it so that they can starve the Yemeni people. This is our country, the United States, doing this. They're bombing Yemen to starve the Yemeni people and saying that they're bombing the Houthis when they're just bombing Yemen. And the Houthis, they don't control all of Yemen, but they do control the part of Yemen, the capital and the main areas of most of the population of Yemen is in the area that is controlled by the Houthis. Although they don't call themselves the Houthis, that's the name of their leader. They call themselves Ansar Allah. But again, this video isn't even about that. And we're bombing Yemen because they, for their religion, religious reasons, and solidarity with fellow Muslims and so forth, they've said that they're going to stop shipping to Israel, Israeli shipping or any shipping that's going to or from Israel, as long as Israel continues to bomb Gaza and now the West Bank. And as you guys probably know, or if you looked into it, you would know that Gaza is decimated, and nobody knows how many dead. Officially, it's around 50,000 Gazans dead. The wounded, there's numbers that are way higher than that, but I mean, the whole place of 2.3 million people is just, and now Trump is publicly talking about literally ethnically cleansing them, literally getting them all out, just complete. The Palestinians have been there for thousands of years. If you read the Bible, it talks about the Philistines, right? The Philistines fighting with the people of Judah, the Israelites, right? So the Palestinians have been there continuously for thousands of years. But, at any rate, it is what it is. So that's not even what, I wanted to talk about. When I try and link, podcasts or interviews where they can explain things way better than I can, and they come with all the receipts, the evidence, everything. But Facebook doesn't want you to see that, In fact, if you look it up, it just got reported that there's over 100 IDF, Unit 8200, which, if you know about Israeli military security, Unit 8200 is like the NSA, like the U.S.'s NSA, National Security Agency or Administration. It's all the super top secret, spying, dealing with computer networks, hacking, cyber, all of that. It's like dealing with the backbone of the internet infrastructure, digital, cyber, all of that kind of stuff is what the U.S. and the American NSA does, and Unit 8200, I believe, is like the Israeli equivalent. Anyhow, you can look it up in the news. It just got reported that over 100 IDF, in other words, Israeli military, intelligence NSA types are employed at Facebook. The bottom line is this. You got Epstein, supposedly killed himself, working for decades with underage children. You can watch a video on YouTube of the wife of Dick Cheney. I forget her name, but Dick Cheney's wife. She's like in a group of people and they're just talking, and she just says, just matter of fact, we all knew about Jeffrey Epstein. Like everyone, we all knew what was going on. Like that was not a secret. So the question is why? Why did everybody know about dozens and tons of underage children, being taken, and the most powerful people in the world, whether politicians, the donor class, the billionaire class, they're all being willingly, but they knew what they were doing, or they were being enticed to go, and they were getting filmed doing it. And the point is and now, the P. Diddy and the same thing going on in Hollywood. Everyone realizes the media is totally discredited now. There's just so many things to talk about. But what most people don't want to address the elephant in the room, which is obviously the government is part of it, it's behind it, it's protecting it. When I can't remember his name, but he was being questioned by members of Congress to get approved, Senate hearings, and when asked why he didn't prosecute Jeffrey Epstein, I can't remember his name. I'll have to look it up. But he just said, he's like, I was told that he belonged to intelligence. In other words, I can't touch him. I, ignore him. Don't do anything about him. Don't prosecute him. They gave him a sweetheart deal to Jeffrey Epstein, but then he kept doing what he was doing, and more got found out. Victims came out. Anyhow, the point is, and this is where I'm going with this whole video. My point in all of this is that America, and not just America, the West in general, the UK, Europe, and probably the rest of the world too. I don't know. I can't speak for China, Russia, I can't speak for, but I'm speaking about the West. Call it NATO, call it Europe and the United States. But the West is run by pedophiles, pedophilia. And the first thing, and I didn't know this, but I just assumed pedophilia is like anyone that's under the age of 18, right? That's basically anyone that's like too young to legally have relations with. No, that's actually not true. From what I read, like what is pedophilia? Pedophilia is attraction to children that are they haven't gone through puberty. So in other words, from like newborns until early teens or whenever, someone hits puberty. So my point is this, and Jeffrey Epstein, he was, from what there's a lot that I don't know. I don't pretend to know everything. I'm trying to just as I mentioned in my last video, my objective, my quest is the truth. I just want to figure out what is going on, who's in charge, what's happening, why is it happening, who's making it happen, who's stopping, like who's in control, right? Is it the politicians? Is it the donor class? Is it the billionaires? Is it Christians? Is it Muslims? Is it Zionists? Like, who's running the show? Or is it some combination of all of them? What is the religious or ideological system or belief of the elite, of the billionaire class, the donor class? What is their religion? Are they Christian? Are they Jewish? Are they Zionists? Are they part of the occult? You know, are they pagans? Are they, you know, is it a cult religion that they have? These are the kinds of things, because if you can figure that out, it's, you know, you have to get to the root of what's going on. So I'm trying to share stuff, but like I said, Facebook, some stuff apparently people can see, other stuff it looks like, even though I'm putting it public, I'm not showing any feedback at all, and maybe just no one's interested, no one's looking at it. But you know, like the first one I did here recently, people saw it, there was comments, and we had discussion, and then after that, it's like the other ones that I put up, I've seen no feedback. It doesn't show like the number of visualizations, like how many views. So like on these, I see how many people viewed the video, but on those ones where I share a link to somebody else's work, it doesn't show the views, and I've had like zero feedback. So anyhow, I'm just sharing things. If you're interested, I hope people are interested, because what I'm getting at is this is my bottom line for today. Our government is run by pedophiles. That doesn't necessarily mean every single politician in Congress, in the Senate, in the House, or local, state politics. It doesn't mean every single one of them is a pedophile. But at the top, they're pedophiles. And to be able to, you know, to be able to stay a politician and keep moving up, you have to keep compromising more and more and more. And I think people intrinsically understand that. The other thing you have to be is a Zionist. Well, what is a Zionist? That's people that believe that we got to get the Jews all back to Israel and make Israel into this powerful, powerful state. You know, it's the only place in the world that's safe for Jews, etc., etc., etc. And really, it's all about the New World Order. I mean, it really has, I don't believe it has anything to do with the Jews, honestly. They were talking about a Holocaust even before the Holocaust, the Second World War. You can look it up. They were talking about 6 million Jews killed even before the Holocaust. And I'm not saying the Holocaust didn't happen or any of that. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is the Jews are used. They've been used. They've been being used for thousands of years. So when people say it's all because of the Jews, that's a lie. That's the real bad guys are using the Jews as a front. Now, does that mean that there's not powerful Zionists, you know, that run the world, or that appear to be running the world, running the banking system? I'm talking about the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all the banking families. A lot of them are Jewish, or they say they're Jewish. They're Zionists, and their religion comes back to they are like believers in Sabbatai Zevi, Levi. Sabbatai, they're Sabbateans. And then later it was Jacob Frank and Frankism. They believe in this. They believe in pedophilia. They believe in sin. They believe in all of these things that are happening. They believe in it. It's the religion. I shared that with my cousin Afghan. She was having a discussion about Israel and stuff. I shared, you can read it on Wikipedia. They believe that the more that you sin and the worse sins you commit, the more you can be saved. It's like, it's horrific, it's horrible. But again, that's not Jews. So I liken it back to the New Testament times. You had the Romans, who I believe the Romans are the ones that wrote the New Testament. The Romans did it. The victors write history. Who were the victors? It was the Romans. They defeated and scattered the Jews. You can read all about it. Nobody disagrees that the Romans just wasted the Jews, right? They wasted Jerusalem, destroyed the temple. So the victors write history. Who were the victors? The Romans. But along with the Romans, there were some of the most powerful people in the world that were actually Jews. But they worked with the Romans. You're talking about the Herods, the Alexanders. These were the most powerful, richest people in the world. They worked with the Romans, the Caesars, the imperial cults, all this kind of thing. So they were using the Jews even back then and trying to destroy the Jews and create a new religion off of the Jewish religion, basically. So, and the Romans believed in all these things, the pedophilia, all this stuff that's just sick and gross and disgusting. I mean, you can read about child sacrifice in the Old Testament. Like, this is something that existed. You can look it up. You can go on YouTube. You can research with eminent scholars, anthropologists, whatever you want. It's right in the Bible as well, the Old Testament child sacrifice. This is something that existed, and it still exists even to this day. So they're doing things a lot worse than just molesting or having sex with underage kids or even children, like I say, pedophilia, which is children that are not even sexually developed before their puberty. I know this is nasty stuff, but these are the people that rule over us. The people, I'm sure people are like, what's wrong with Russ? Why is he so negative about the U.S. or the West? What's going on with him? It's this. And again, I can't speak to what happens in China and Russia and anywhere else, but in the West, we are ruled by Satanists. And there's tons of videos about victims. And there's like a huge community of victims and everything of what they call SRA, Satanic Ritual Abuse. Satanic Ritual Abuse, SRA. It's a huge thing. It's a big deal. It's here in the U.S. It's prevalent. It's pervasive in Europe and the U.K. That's what our leaders believe in. They believe in raping and murdering, even cannibalism, like the Hunger Games, that whole movie of the Hunger Games. That's the kind of crap that they do, and they believe in all these things. Hollywood is just showing us in movies what they believe in and what they do and have done for thousands of years. Like, they're just showing us the evil, the occult, the pagan, the esoteric, all this stuff. It's just pervasive. The horror movies, the witchcraft, all of this is what the elite believe in. It's what they're living. It's what they do. You don't even have to bribe them. They use the blackmail because not everyone was born into it. So they use blackmail as what the Russians call compromat. They're compromised. They got blackmail. So all of these things they're blackmail operations, but they're also what they believe. It's their religion. And that's my message. Sorry, it's there's a lot there, but I go all the way back to Christianity and the New Testament and the Bible, just because the Jews are being used, have been used. The anti-Semitism is intentional. They want anti-Semitism. They need anti-Semitism. If there was no anti-Semitism, there would be no reason for Israel. That is the justification for Israel to exist. That's why they're pushing and saying there's no place in the world that's safe for Jews, only in Israel. It's the whole justification is the anti-Semitism. So anti-Semitism is what they want, it's what they push, it's what they talk about, but they also use it to try and, you can't say anything bad about anything that happens because it's anti-Semitism. But yet they want anti-Semitism because that's how they're trying to push people to Israel, Jews. They're using the Jews, they're scapegoating the Jews. It's just the whole thing. It's sick, it's ugly, it's gross, it's disgusting. But people need to know the world that we live in. And until we realize the world that we live in, the type of leaders, rulers, whatever you want to call them, they don't believe in Christianity. I guarantee you, I will bet you $1 billion that Biden does not believe in Christianity. Neither does Trump. Our leaders, they know that their ancestors are the ones that created Christianity, and they know that. It's all a funny joke to them. The New Testament is dark humor to them because they create, not they, but their ancestors 2,000 years ago created Christianity to ruin, destroy, or use the Jews, use hatred against the Jews, against them. But at the same time, for the last 2,000 years, the Jews have always been, it's a super weird relationship where, the Jews are bad because they killed Jesus Christ. But at the same time, the elite depend on the Jews, or at least the Jewish elite. The elite Jews, they've allowed them to charge interest. When Christianity couldn't charge interest, usury was illegal, the Jews got to charge interest. And that's how they did very well. They became very wealthy. They took over, they basically, a lot of people believe that Jews rule the world, whatever. Really what it is that, what we call Zionists, neocons, whatever you want to call them, the elite Jews, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and many others, Warburgs, there's all these different names, the elite old families that have had billions for generations. There's a symbiotic relationship where the Gentiles, what were the Roman elite, the Greeks, the Romans that ruled the world, they've always used the elite of the Jews to not only try and control the Jews, but also to control their own people, the Gentiles. So think of the Zionists or the elite Jews, the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers are the modern day Herods, Agrippa, Herods, the Alexanders. Those are the modern day, Rothschilds and Rockefellers that are Jewish, or they say they're Jewish, but they actually are working against their own people, the Jews. And the Gentiles, the other elites, use them. So the Rothschilds and Rockefellers end up being like the bailiffs. They take the fall, So it's it's all the Jews that are destroying us, ruining us. They own everything. It's not the Jews. It's the elite Jews, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, that group, working with the Christians, and none of them, they're all pagan, they're all esoteric, occult, they don't believe any of it. They just believe in power, they believe in the occult, in Satan, they're Satanists. They're all Satanists. The elite, top-level politicians, they're Satanists. They believe in pedophilia, and they believe that they're like another race. They consider us like sheep, like animals just to be fed off of and controlled. This is the reality. It sucks. It sounds, it's depressing. But if we don't recognize it, if we don't even know, if we don't know that, we're in this situation, then we'll never, ever, ever, ever get out of it. That's my message for today. Love you all. Bye.